Welcome to the Needy and Normal podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After hours of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for a better life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. Let's get needy.
Welcome back to part 2 with Sabrina Bryan. My mom says this is so beautiful. Thank you for listening. This episode is brought to you by ABL Life Coaching. Ta-da! Sabrina's episode is so good. Enjoy!
We left off with Sabrina mentioning that she met her husband, Jordan.
And he was like a breath of fresh air. He was younger than me, but like so much older in so many ways. Like just he was like meeting you, right? Like just like, oh, like, how do you know that? Yes. And so ambitious. This guy knew exactly what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, and how he was going to make it happen. Like he just knew. He had so much confidence. And I was just like, wow, really? Yeah. We want to do this on top of all this?
All the other things? What's his dream? What's he all about? I don't even know.
No, and it's crazy. He just got like employee of the year last year at his job. And he like literally, I was in tears because he literally turned to me and said, like, it's because of her. Like I was young, I was ambitious, I knew what I wanted to do, but like she opened my eyes and showed me how to do it.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there going, what? And he was not saying he was shy, but I showed him like how to use his voice and how, like he's in sales now. He's just a giant in his industry. And I just could not be more proud of him. And like, but he had this plan of being the giant. And he knew he wanted to, he knew he could, but being around me and my industry friends and my dancer friends, like I was going to say, like I met him before I did Dancing with the Stars in Las Vegas, and he was just around me. And then I came home and I booked Dancing with Stars All-Stars. And then we were around even bigger, like people that were like, producers and all this. And he just was a sponge, and he just learned so much being around the people that we were around, and we would talk business. And he just was like, and he took everything and just took it into his business. And like, I can't even catch up. I don't even know if I'll ever have another thing that will catch up to like the magnitude of what my husband's become. Like, I'm just beyond proud. It's just unreal. And I know that's how you are with Jeff. Like you just watch it, you're just like, cause I knew him from like the beginning, and it's like, damn, baby, get it.
Damn. I love it.
I remember when we talked about the thing, damn, you're doing it. Like,
you're doing it. Like, yeah. That's a cool feeling to be so proud of him. And I'm sure he knows that you feel all these things, but that's a cool thing to express it too.
And I like, it's funny when he talks about me, like to colleagues or friends or whatever. And like, he doesn't just talk about like back in the day. He talks about like where I'm at now. And like, he goes, it's crazy. Like the passion she had when I met her of her job is how she is as a mom now. Like, I'm like, I want to be team mom. I want to be room mom. I want to be there to ensure, and I want friends to help. I'm not trying to do it all on my own, but like, I want to make this experience, like, I want my kids to have like what my parents did for me. They gave me everything. My dad was coach of the soccer team. My mom was there all the time at the dance studio. They were driving me up to LA. Like, that's what I want to be for my kids now, and I'm at the transition. I'm getting to the point where I've got a 16-month-old, and then I got my 4-year-old. And I see that transition creeping up now again of when they're both at school. And like, you know, this podcast that I'm doing, Magical Rewind, was just a blessing. Perfect timing. I felt like I wasn't doing, like, I like to work. I don't have anything against stay-home moms. It just isn't for me. I can't not have a work and situation that like takes my brain out of snacks,
Yeah.
snack time.
All the snacks.
You know, it's like, and it's like some moms are totally equipped for it, and I love that. I
Mhm.
I wish I could, but I start try like Jordan comes home and he goes, "Okay, he'll be like, let's plan a trip." What do you need? Like he'll know, like I need to do something. Like this is not, I can't do it. And I just know that I have so much in my heart of more creativity that I have not done yet. I'm not, and I know there'll be a day where maybe I'll think I'm done and it'll be it, but it's just not right now. So I'm
No,
in
I
that
can't even see
transition.
that. I can't ever see you being done. You always got some.
Yeah, I love projects. I love create when I'm if I'm like I got a cricket and I just now just that's a thing. When I get like Jordan will be like, have you made any, should we make some, do you want to do some t-shirts or
What, a
something?
water bottle?
I'm like, you're right. I haven't,
You
all
need
the plans I
something.
had for the cricket, I haven't done yet. And I'm like, you're right. Let me get it out. Let me,
I
you know,
love that.
I just like
Gotta do.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, and I feel fulfilled. I love, like, I will say, and this is what I love about the podcast is like we're rewatching Disney Channel movies, which brings so much nostalgia for people. And they remember when they loved that movie and where they were in their own life and why it resonated to them. You know, I got that a lot with the Cheetah Girls. Is like people be like, "Oh, I love them." You know, my favorite one was Galleria, and I'm like, "Good, that's kind of my favorite too." Like, I don't even know, like if Doe is my favorite, you know, but it's like the Cheetah Girls, there was multiple personalities that had vast differences that you could cling on to and like love and feel like, yes, that's me. That's me. You know, I love that. And the channel itself, all the DComs, whether you're a Johnny Tsunami, which was my favorite, or a Smart House, or a Lemonade Mouth, or all these DComs that people just love. It's the nostalgia of it. It's fun to rewatch them as adults because you're like, that absolutely made no sense. How they got from there to, like, you know, so we
Yeah.
I don't want to say like we make fun of it. We just depict it now. And a lot of them I watched as they premiered. We just did Halloween Town. And I was so ready for Halloween Town. I knew this movie. I forgot Debbie Reynolds was in it. Like she's one of my icons. And but it's like
Yeah.
now as an adult, and then you're like seeing the messaging and everything. And it's just then we do the interviews. And my interviews are my favorite parts because you're talking to in Halloween Town, we were talking to Judy. Her last name is but she was April of Ninja Turtles. She was the live action April, right? We just interviewed her. And like the most magical part of being a part of the Disney franchise, any part of Disney, but Disney Channel especially, was to be able to like meet these fans who you have really impacted in like a positive way.
Mhm.
And like for me, when I did the episode when I was getting married, I did Say Yes to the Dress. And
Oh yeah.
every one of the producers were huge Cheetah Girls fans. And I'm looking at them now like, you guys are now badass producers of a giant show. And they're like, you are my inspiration. Like, and I'm like, holy crap. Like,
That's amazing.
oh my God. Like, that's what I'm saying. And anyone who's done anything on the channel that has been, it doesn't matter how big the magnitude was, it's like, that's what we get to have and take with us forever. Like, is we were a part of, for me, it's like, even if it was one kid, and I know it's not with the Cheetah Girls, I know it just is so giant. Our fan base was huge, and I'm so proud that like those girls are now badasses in their jobs. Like, and It was because of Cinderella. It was because of these songs that we, Cheetah Girls, like Amigas, Cheetahs, Strut, by the way, just had a big pickup because that was the US Olympic soccer team's anthem before they would go out on the field at the
No
Olympics.
shit.
Ashley, God. And I'm like, I said, turns out I am at the Olympics.
That's amazing.
Holy shit. What? Strut was their anthem before they'd hit the field.
I'm gonna have to go like play that in the car and
Because
like
it is such an anthem. It is so like just get like kill it, strut like you mean it, free your mind. It's not enough just to live it. Come on, let's freaking do this, right?
I was starting to dance to your, you
Oh,
want to sing a little bit.
I love it. And my daughter's
That's
all
so awesome.
like, Mommy, how long do I have to wait to be a cheetah girl? I was like, baby, you already are one.
You already are.
Tell you that sass, that little zinger in you.
She's got it down. I will say, I showed Logan. Logan's gonna be 7 in December, and I showed her like an old trailer of your first movie, and she was like, "You know her, Mom? I love cheetah print. I wear it all the time." She immediately went to like the fashion of it, and she's into like dance and pom and and gymnastics, all the things. Like I'm trying not to live vicariously through her, but like a little bit. But she got just a little bit. She got super excited because I want to show her the movies. Like I gotta be honest, like
They're all on Disney Plus, girl. The second one, gorgeous. The third one, gorgeous.
I remember.
I think it had to do with time, the day and age, but also budget, right?
Yeah, for sure. I like that progression
It's
though.
still funny to watch the second one. The first one, we did, my co-host is Will Friedle, and he is he hates this. So I'm like, he was like the hot brother on Boy Meets World.
That's what I say too.
Okay. He thinks I'm
I said that. No.
He's so humble, it's ridiculous. He has no idea. I'm like, you were literally the hot guy for like generations.
Yeah, for real.
And so anyway, he did a Wonderful World of Disney movie. So we did his date, A Date with the President's Daughter movie first. And then we did Cheetah Girls. And that was the first time in 15, 16 years probably that I had seen our first movie. And I was like,
wow,
crying, and I was laughing, and I was thinking about everything that happened on set. And it was just like so awesome to rewatch it. But I also was like, this is not a pretty movie.
It wanted to be.
It wanted to be, but we were in Toronto and we didn't have a budget to make it super pretty. But, anyway.
Do you feel like you're in a place in life now where you can kind of just breathe and reflect on all of it? Like you said, like motherhood wasn't like a slam in the face. Oh my gosh, I'm panicked about how to do this because life has been so much for you to manage long before you became a mom. So I think
the only thing that slammed me in the face was like, holy shit, this is a real human that I have to like make sure
I can't just water it.
It gets fed and like, you know what I mean? So like the baby portion. And then I don't know if you know that Monroe had meningitis at 2 weeks old. So my birthday's coming up on Monday. My birthday is no longer I don't look forward to it. I'm still in PTSD because the night before my birthday, I guess, Monroe, when you have an infant under 1 month, she was 2 weeks old. They say, keep a track of their temperature. And we had just bought our house, so we were unpacking. And I went over there and I picked her up to go breastfeed her, and I'm breastfeeding her, and she's not wanting to take it. And it felt like she was on fire. And I'm like, and we're in this house with boxes everywhere. I can't find my thermometer. I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I'm getting nervous. Like she's whiny. In the 2 weeks that I've known this girl, She's not very whiny. She's whiny. She's like unhappy. And then she started wailing and she was just so hot. And I have her outside in just a diaper. She's hot. He gets here finally with the temperature and she's at 104. And
Oh,
anything
scary.
under like 100, right? Or it's scary even if they get up to 100. So I called the pediatrician and she says, I have like one thing I need you to do, get in your car and go to Chalk Hospital, which is just, right around from where we went to school, Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, go straight there. And so she didn't tell me what she thought or anything. So I went there and they, and it was just a traumatic night. She got, they were assuming she had meningitis. They were calling for a spinal tap to be done. And during that time, they had given her some Tylenol to get her temperature down. And so she went from 104 to 102. But that shock to her system, she seized like right in my arms. She had a seizure.
Oh my
Like it
God.
was just like,
That's terrifying.
yeah, that was like my welcome to motherhood situation. And then from then she did have meningitis. They did a spinal tap and the nurse was, I'm like, I want to be in here. And the nurse was like, totally understand, but mom, you don't want to see this. Like it is not a fun experience. Like it's just, you need to wait outside. So I'm literally outside of the doors hearing my baby wail. And it's like a wail of, ugh. And I do regret that. I wish I was right there with her. I could have, it didn't matter. The door between us didn't make it easier for me, right? Like, she had to have two spinal taps because once she got medicated and everything was good, she had to have another one. And I sat in the room with them and was like, do what you got to do. I'm not leaving her again,
That grit.
Yeah. Like, oof. I mean, talk about like a higher being, like God had his angels. My brother, Brian, who my parents, that's where Sabrina Bryan comes from, is my brother. My mom and dad had their first child and he passed away at 72 hours. He had a hole in his heart, major complications. So he passed away within 72 hours. So that's where, when I had to do like host no one could remember it. And they said I needed to have a stage name. That's where Brian got pulled in because his name was Brian.
Mm.
And the whole time, like, it's like so crazy, and that was a really rough time, but that was like the transition into being mom. And I remember Jordan and I going, ugh, if our marriage can handle this and our babies can handle that, like our baby can handle, like Jordan also had ripped his bicep. So he had major surgery like a week before Monroe went into the hospital.
And you moved into a new house.
Ashley, we were a hot fucking mess. Like there was like, we were going, oh my God. And
That's
then
a
like
lot.
months later come out on the end of it, everything's great. And like, we both looked at each other like, we can handle anything at this point. Like, we're good. We are, because that would rip parents apart. It was also COVID. So we couldn't even be at the hospital together. We had to shift.
I would lose my mind. I keep thinking about people who had to give birth and do things with their partner. I would lose my shit.
So I was pregnant during the pandemic and I fully took like hypnotic. It was called Hypno Babies. I recommend it to all who get pregnant because even though I didn't have to use it fully, I prepared myself if they were going to do a lockdown situation where Jordan couldn't come in for my birth. I was ready to have this baby at home. And I took classes where it's called hypno. So you talk yourself through it. You go through the method, your partner, whoever's going to be there side by side with you, knows the scripts. And like, it's like a very Zen,
Prepared.
yeah, I was ready to not have an epidural. Like that's what I thought I was going to probably have to do because the pandemic was so gnarly and people were, the people that had to give birth without their spouse or partner. No. And don't get me wrong. The nurses are gems. They are special angels in this world. They were amazing, but there's nothing like your person next to you.
Yep. I agree with
that was not going to happen to me. I was like, I guess they we'll get a baby bathtub or whatever it needs to do. Like, I'm not going in then.
Uh-huh. Good for you. I would have done the same thing. There is nothing. I had amazing nurses for both my kids, but nothing compares to your person, your guy.
Yeah, yes, the person that's like sitting there going, just remember we wanted to do this.
Please.
This was a part of our big plan. Just remember, babe, we're here. I'm right here. We did this. Yeah, neither one of my birth
Yeah.
stories are like that. I was so, because I really believe in the hypnobirthing classes I took, I was so happy and ready and like, don't say like, I'm not gonna say like I loved the contractions, but I really like, I didn't, the negative place that's part of the hypnobirthing, like you're not allowed to say like labor. You say
Mm.
birth. You don't say contractions, you say pressure. Like you put in your brain like more positive words, and like the pressure points that I was going through, even the hardest of the ones that I went through, it was like this like great like positive, like all it meant was like she's almost here. She's come, like this is like
I love that.
like get to meet her soon,
Huh?
or him, like this is part
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
we are raised with the screaming, knees in the air, only one way to have a baby,
Hmm.
visuals, and it affects us. So we hunker down towards that. And like part of the hypnobirthing was eliminating that. Like, no, it's beautiful. Like think about what your body has done and is
Yeah.
prepared for 10 months. Your
Hmm.
body is prepared you for this. You are ready. You just have to have this great mind system. And you know, my births were amazing. Like I keep trying to talk Jordan into a third. We're not there yet. I could
I wasn't
easily
going to ask.
I was
Maybe you
easily gonna, I know it's such a not great thing to ask people, but I would easily be a surrogate for a family member if they needed that.
You like
100%.
being pregnant.
Oh, I was so annoying, Ashley.
You're just the happiest pregnant person. I can, you know what? I never saw you pregnant. I don't think maybe once.
I loved being pregnant. I
Me too.
just, I could not believe my body was doing this. And I had waited, you know, I wasn't getting pregnant. You know, the difference is, here's two big differences. I didn't get pregnant when I was really young. And then that selfish mindset that I was as like a 22-year-old, super selfish. I didn't get pregnant then. And I think that's a big thing. And then also I was lucky enough to not get morning sickness. My first trimester was not horrible. And when you have I can imagine somebody who's like throwing up and feeling shitty for 3
Yeah.
months,
Ugh.
how much of a dampener that would put on the rest of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
only thing
that's
that
fair.
happened to me was there was with Monroe, it was the last 2 weeks of my first trimester. I was so exhausted. I called Jordan because my work with the dancers starts after they're out of school. So I start at like 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And I remember calling him at like 1 o'clock, crying, going, I have to work for like 8 hours and I'm so tired. Like already, I haven't done anything. Like I haven't even started work. And like that was hard.
Yeah.
Ledger, I got the exhaustion from week 1.
Mm. Baby two
How do
and a
I get, and
boy.
now I've got a toddler. How do I get through a Monday? How do I
Uh,
get through a Tuesday? How do I, you know, with Jordan being at work, like, oh my God, that first trimester was rough in that sense. But I feel like I kept going, you're not, babe, you're not special. Everyone has to go through this. Like,
that can
this
be
isn't
actually
just
really
hard on
helpful.
you, homie.
Um,
It's hard on everyone. And I kept that in my mind too. Like, this is part of the gig. It's
mhm.
part of
Yeah, it's part of it. Your attitude seems to be very helpful in all parts of your life. I was listening, like as I'm listening, as everyone's listening, as you're bringing us through your career and managing school, and I love that your parents like made sure to give you this normalcy as much as they could, but they were also like all in, like we got your back, but like also like let's make sure that you are a normal kid as much as possible. But managing all that, like as you were talking about it, you just have this, I got it. I'm positive. everything's all right. Let's do it. I'm motivated. So I can imagine when you hit a wall and you're tired, you're like, no, 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 I have energy for everything. Like how I can't
Yeah,
run
but
that.
I will
But
say
it is attitude.
yes. And I think that's me 93% of the time.
Ooh, 93. Okay.
I think that's me 93% of the time. When I hit a wall that I can't navigate myself out of, and I'm just like dark, like perfect example. This is the perfect example of my life. I was in the shower yesterday. And again, this might hit me right now, but bear with me. Like I said, my birthday, I'm not scared of being 40. I feel very fulfilled. I can't believe I'm 40 because I thought I'd feel much older than I do. um, I'm not scared to hit 40. What I don't love is my birthday brings PTSD. I remember she had seized in my arms and it was like a murder show, like in the sense of like I couldn't let her go because she was tangled in all these things that she was already hooked up to. And I'm sitting on my knees screaming, nurse, 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 like, come help me. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew she was sick. I'm sorry. Um, it was really hard to do that whole process. And even though I was, again, my 93% plus at that point, because I was not fighting for me, I was fighting for her. It takes a toll, and it hurt. It was hard. It was rough. That was probably the scariest place of my life ever. And I would have given everything to be hooked up and her being on my side. She had at one point, because she seized, she had this little cap with these things on her head. She had I forget what instead of like just a regular thing, they like had a stint, I think it's called, and her leg was all wrapped up, and like she was 2 weeks old, and so anyway, this is a perfect portion of like telling you about that 7% that I do have. Like, I am not a superhuman. I am not trying to be one. It's just, I know I'm tough and I know I can do things and I can. And I do have friends around me that rely on me to be that person. I know that. And so I am most of the time, but in the shower yesterday, it's like my birthday's coming up and like all those flashbacks start hitting me while I'm taking a shower, and I come out and I'm crying. And my husband's like, he's working, in our room, and he's like, babe, what's going on? Because he can hear me crying. I'm trying to get myself together, like, girl, like, you
Have
got to get your shit together. Let's go. Like, you got the day, you got the kids, you got this. Like, there's so much on the plan. Like, you don't have time to do this. And I'm like trying to pull myself together. And he goes, come here. And I come and I crawl up in him and he goes, what's going on? And he goes, I go, my birthday. And he goes, baby, you are the most gorgeous 40-year-old I will ever meet. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're going to Italy and Greece. Like, this is like that, like, what's wrong? And I'm like, it's just hard. Like, at midnight of my birthday that year, I remember, and I somehow just looked at my phone or something. Again, it was just me. Jordan was in the car in the parking lot because he wasn't allowed to come in. And it was when we had gotten confirmation that she had meningitis and we were getting transferred into a room that we'd be staying in for 21 days. And it was like, I remember looking at my phone and it was midnight and it was my birthday. And I was just like, and it wasn't like in no selfishness in any sense. It was just like, we had plans. We were going to go to dinner that night, obviously, and it didn't matter that those plans were gone. It was just like,
life.
this was not what today was going to be. It was out of nowhere. She hasn't been sick. She was fine all day. All this shit happened within like 3 hours. And it was like, wow. welcome to being a parent. Because I remember saying, I don't ever want to celebrate my birthday again. Like, all I want is to make sure my baby is because the part of meningitis that hits their brain, it affects their hearing. When they told me that, I'm like, I have these dreams of course, if she didn't want to dance, it'd be okay. I'd live somehow. But now she doesn't, now it's like hearing, like that's going to be an obstacle for her, not just with like what the dream I had, this dance dream again, which would be okay. Again, listeners, it'd be okay if she's not a dancer. I'm okay with that. But it's an obstacle. And it's an obstacle not just with dancing. Oh my God, this is going to affect her speech. This could affect her this. It could affect, because we never, when they just confirmed meningitis, but they did talk to us about the things that they were going to now be looking at and monitoring.
Yeah.
And because she had a seizure, they were now monitoring her brain to see what else possibly, what any kind of damage that happened then. And that's all that information was given to me. And we're walking and she's in her, like we're wheeling her in her bed, her baby bed, like a baby hospital bed. And my dad had gone to the house because I was freezing. I just walked out like in a tank top and leggings, and I didn't think about being in a hospital for a year, which is what it felt like it was going to be. Then my dad got a sweatshirt. I'm in like a sweatshirt legging, and like I just remember looking at my watch and going, "It's my birthday."
Hmm.
And now I'm like triggered.
That's a
I don't
lot.
And since then, I don't ever want to do anything on my birthday. Like my husband, like I was such a, you were at my 21st. Like I
Yeah,
was
we
like,
go big.
what are we doing for the birthday? Oh, yeah. No, I'm not like that. I'm like, well, what do you want? Do you want, I don't care.
Do you
Mama,
want to change that?
you know what? The thing is, I do for the future. I do not want to be like this forever, but I'm okay with knowing that like, even though she's 4 and thriving, nothing came out of, and no side effects or long-term things came out of it. I'm okay with right now still being upset about it. I'm okay with that right
Okay.
now because I know I'm not always going to be. That's just not my personality.
Mm.
Um, however, like I grew up with a mom that had a baby and lost him, and it wasn't a miscarriage. She had him, and because she had anesthesia or an epidural, they wouldn't let her hold him. And my mom never held her baby, Brian.
Mhm.
Um, because they had to have emergency C-section, and then so she didn't have even muscle move, and my mom and dad, I know, I was, I mean, Brian would have been, if they even still had me, right? After having Brian and my sister's 8 years older than me, and I think Brian would have been like 11 years older than me. So I was not around during the after effects with my parents, but they did go through issues and things because of it and really had to build from there. But like my mom, I grew up with a mom. I remember being little and my mom would be crying on a day, and I didn't know Brian's birthday, but like my dad would say, it's your brother's birthday today. It's hard for mom.
Mm.
And remember looking at her, and my dad was like, it's okay. It's okay to cry. What is happening? It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad. Give your time. And that's what he would say. Give yourself space and grace to be sad, but then know that's where it is. And then live your beautiful life. That's what he would always say to me and my dad. So I do want to let go of the birthday connection. I do, because I'm happy to be 40. Girl,
Mm.
oh, I love like you said, when you said you have such a beautiful house. I do. And I love it. It's not crazy big, but it's perfect for me and my babies and my family and my husband. And we keep moving on. And I'm so blessed to have the most amazing husband. Or I sometimes want to call him husband-in-law, but that's not correct. Father-in-law, uh, who is a general contractor, and he makes all my dreams come true. I just love him so much, and he's the most kindest, gushiest, most amazing man. I just love him so much. Um, and I am living a blessed life. I am. But, that does create, and I would love to separate the trauma from like my birthday because I love, me, I love celebrating my birthday. I just haven't the last 4 years. It has nothing to do with the age. It's just the memory of almost losing my daughter. I mean, Peggy, Peggy.
Dr. Peggy.
Dr. Peggy, of course, I was calling her in between all the things and saying, this is what they just said. And I'd record them and have her listen and she would kind of translate
Yeah.
stuff. And she goes, she says it. Here we go again. She goes, I'm just so proud of you because you listened to yourself and you got her to the hospital. She goes, most parents don't. And they feel crazy and think, oh, it's not that big. I'm being crazy. Or they don't realize because their baby's sleeping with this temperature. And by the time they get to the hospital, their babies are vegetables.
You did the right thing.
I was just, you know what? I did, but I'm also so lucky. I believe that my brother is an angel. I don't know why that. I know I'm a good mom. I know that, and I've had multiple situations later on to like make me sure that I know that I am that, but like that intuition that I had, like, and cause Jordan was like, I think she's like, let's just like, he was, and I'm like, babe, this is not right. I'm starting to get amped. I'm like, babe, do you want to deal with me like this or do you want to help me fix what the fuck we're going to do? Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. I called my dad. My dad could hear it in my voice. I'm like, Dad, I'm scared. Luckily at that time, him and my mom lived 10 minutes away. He was here and I go, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Let's go. I called a pediatrician. Like I was like on it. And my husband, I love him because he is the yin to my yang. Like when I start doing that, I'm like, okay. And I'm like I start running in circles. What do we do? And he's like, hey, whoa, give me 3 things on your list. He always says, give me 3 things on those lists of that brain of yours. What can we do? How can we accomplish those 3 things? What are the top 3? And I'm like, this, that. And he's like, all right, I got them. I'm getting in the car. He has also, like I said, recovered. He can't even drive. I have to drive. And I'm like, babe, you're going to have to go in there with her. Because I know we can't both go in. So you have to go in there with her. Dad, can you meet me? Can you follow us? I know I can't be in there with her because I'm too crazy. I've got this. I'm nuts, Dad. I'm like at this point where I'm like, I'm going. I don't think I can settle down to be able to give Jordan the information that they're going to give me and process it and give it back to him. And he goes, okay. All right. Well, Jordan will go in there. I'll be there. And then we pull up and I looked at Jordan. I'm like, it can't be you. It's got to be me. I'm so sorry. I just picked up the route I wanted. I can't. It can't be you. I'll be fine. I'll put you on speakerphone. It can't.
You knew.
I knew. And Jordan said, he says, I think it was the right choice. Like you, and because Jordan he is this statue of a Leonardo DiCaprio lookalike. And he's so
got his shit together.
Yes, but in his mind it goes, but he is able to do all of this where me, I'm like, when I'm flailing, I'm like, so I'm so glad I married him because Jesus Christ, I don't know if I would have even made it to 40, Ashley. Honestly, how did I live my life without him? How did I live my life without him? Because he is this.
That's love. That's the good stuff.
And I'm like, and when he gives me looks, I'm like, okay. Like when we're out with like couples and I'm like thinking I'm super funny. And he looks at me and I'm like, okay, I'm not that funny. I'm not reading the room right.
He checks you. I love
Yes,
it.
he does. He does. And sometimes, I mean, we work on
You
sometimes
need
it's a little
that.
hard. I'm like, I still am cuddly, so it's a little harsh sometimes, but at the same time, thank you, Lord. Like, two things that I will never exceed anyone other is getting Monroe through that hard spell and keeping me grinded and calm during that, and my husband, because oh my gosh, I don't know how I would be alive without those two blessings. Like, oh,
And you know it. That's the best part. Look at how you talk about it. You know it. You own the things you're so grateful for.
so you with this life coaching, which I knew when you were like apparently 15 was your destiny. Tell me, like, give me things that like you see, and whether it's just about the generation now or like what, like give me, I want stuff from you. I want to stop talking and I want to hear from your beautiful mind, because your mind has always been this incredible, like just wealth of knowledge. And as you navigated your own things, like, just I know, I don't know. Like I remember there being a rocky part with you and Jeff. Like I remember that, and like listening to you talk about it, I was like, why do you have it so together? You're like part of my baby right now. Like because you were like, it's good. This is why. This is why we're going through this. And I'm like, really? Because you just had this like beautiful mind to like just like, it's cool. Like you were never like, there was a time I remember. Did you guys break up at all?
Several times.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I remember during your breakups, the way I handled breakups was very different than how you handled breakups.
I went into some recruitment meeting with sunglasses on and everyone's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm fine. So I had my moments, but yeah, we went through a lot of shit. I started dating him straight out of my traumatic home. Like he basically picked up where my parents left off, and like we've been through
Oh,
so many things. Yeah.
wait, were
But
your parents still together?
yeah. They stayed married for the kids, which is the dumbest fucking thing to do. Sorry. But it
Yes.
is. And so they didn't get divorced till I was a sophomore. And it was right? Yeah, I was 20. And Jeff and I've been together since I was 18. So like we went through all these crazy things together when I was still a child. So kind of like you going through this like wild career, you have to grow up real fast. And I grew up real fast before I even made it to college, and then met Jeff, and he had to handle a lot of my things. He has been my guinea pig in a sense of like, let me like try and grow up with you in my life, and you can handle all the things, all the symptoms that come along with me trying to figure things out. But yeah, I've got, I don't know. I was always the peacemaker and the in between, and I tried to calm things down when my parents would fight. I mean, I did things the wrong way, but the thing that I've learned, and what I'm hearing too as I'm listening to you, and it happens with so many friends and clients, it's the self-trust like you were just talking about. That is like the biggest theme in at least in my work, when I talk to people about when they're trying to move through changes or challenges or whatever, the scariest part is that they've lost that connection to their intuition, and they don't know how to trust themselves, and they self-doubt like crazy. And unfortunately, everyone does that. And that's life, right? It'll beat you down if you don't stand up to it and try and figure things out in the process. And if you disconnect from your intuition and you don't have, like you did, that moment of no, it's got to be me. If you can't tap into that, it makes life so hard. It just, you know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, and I think when like on a level of like, again, like my husband's just, he let me just make sure that everyone knows he has his downfalls. Like there's things that like we work around, as well, but his brilliance of numbers and able to like business wise like think of stuff, which when we first met, like that was me. Like I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna, and it wasn't necessarily numbers, but it was like, oh, we're gonna bob and weave this way with business. And he's surpassed me now. like fully. And I'm like, now I'm like, like I ask him and he's like, he'll look at me going, why are you asking me this? I'm like, well, because I'm not sure. Like, I think, I don't know.
But
And
you
he's
do.
like, but you do.
Hmm.
I don't understand why you're doing that. And I'm like, it's weird how like I now have this, like, I second guess myself because I have,
You have a
because
resource.
yes, and I honestly like would rather him make the decision and trust him more now than I trust my own self,
Well, and that's okay
which
sometimes.
is okay, but like like what you're saying, like losing it completely. There's things like where I'll ask him and he's like, that's not my genre. Like we have specific roles, but I will say like that's part of marriage is like giving part of yourself a little bit, right? Like you don't have to give it all. And that's why Jordan's like, what are you doing? Like you can, but a part of it is like where is that middle line? Where's that like, and finding that middleman, that perfect slot is golden when it comes to like marriage. And I'm not an expert. I did not have the best marriage. I'm not even trying to say that. I just feel like right where we've bobbed and weaved and we've gone through hell and back a few times of different reasons. I feel super confident that we're doing what's good for us, at least.
That's
I could
big.
not give marriage advice because everyone's marriage is different. And the sacrifices you make are different and the reasons are different.
Mhm.
You know, you've seen it's hard for everyone to kind of like navigate confidence. Is that what it?
Yeah. Yeah, like the confidence to say like, okay, I don't know what's next, but I'll figure it out. Or if I really think about it, maybe I do know what to do. I mean, that's what I do as a coach. Like I'm not
Yeah.
going to bark advice at you. It comes up, I'll do the like mentoring and the consulting if it's appropriate, but for the most part, I'm like, okay, let's just pause, just breathe. Like let's just think about what you do know, what information you do have, what kind of support you do have. Because when people come to me, they want to make big changes or they just got hit in the face with a big change that they didn't expect. So it's
What kind of big changes? Like what are you guys like dealing with?
all kinds of things.
I'm sure your range is insane,
It
but
is. It makes it fun. It makes it fun for sure. I
what's a
have
common one? What's a common one?
divorce and career change are big ones that I see a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, those are gnarly.
massive. Or moving, like I helped someone move to another country. That was like a big transition. So that's the time where you're the shakiest the most about trust or having that confidence to okay, now what do I do? What's my next step? Then what? So like having, me along for the ride is supposed to be, I'm going to help you remember what you're made of and what you're capable of and take a beat, take a breath. I love what Jordan was talking about, like what are the top 3 things? That's one of my methods is like let's talk about the 3 most important things. Let's just start with that. And everything else can just wait for a second because when you're going through some shit, you don't need to overwhelm yourself any more than you're already overwhelmed because it's just a lot. As a human being, we are just, oh my gosh, the amount of feelings that we can feel all at once is so over the top. We
Yeah.
have to like pull ourselves aside and take a beat. I have this one client who's in the restaurant industry and he just wants to make sure that he's a good leader. So I work with a lot of leaders too. And he gets so mad at himself if like we're towards the end of a session and he's like, shit, all I did was bitch and moan the whole time. I'm like, well, it's okay. Because that's part of it. You have to hear your
It is.
say things out loud because then we can figure out what we're working with. Then we
I've
can
been
say,
like
now
that
what?
my whole life. My mom has been my poor lady. I probably am the one that put her into like these medical situations in the sense of like,
Oh,
I am like I need to like blurt it all out, like
let it
vomit
out.
all of the frustrations. And then I get over it. Like it's like once it's out of my system, I'm
Uh,
like, whew, and then I move on. Jordan and I like have it, that's another thing with like marriage is like figuring out each other's process, right? Jordan is like a zip lip. he doesn't need to talk about it. Like, just, he likes to mentally just like move forward. I need to at least talk about it once.
Yeah. Give me the floor for a minute and then
Yeah.
maybe move on. Yeah. Jeff can do that
And
too. We've really worked on that. He's much better
really,
communicator now than he's ever
yes.
been, because I don't do sleeping under the floor.
Uh-uh.
I can't do it either.
That kiss before bed like thing, like Jordan's literally like, I will kiss you and then I'm gonna go to bed and I'm still gonna be upset. And I'm like, okay, go to bed.
That's
But
hard.
when you wake up, how was your sleep? Are you ready? Like, and he knows that. So like I do. And when he wakes up, he is ready to like move into talking about it and, you know, whatever. And it's like
Okay.
learning each other's process. And like, it doesn't sit well with me that that's how he has to do it. But also like, it doesn't sit well with him that he has to sit down and like chat as much as I want to chat.
Mhm.
And then, but he knows once I get it,
Styles.
then I'm like, okay.
Do you
I
know
feel
that is so much what marriage is literally learning each other over
yes.
the course of time. You're just trying to figure each other out.
But
And
the hard part is you don't know some of the blockage you're going to come across because they've never come into your world before. And then it's
yeah.
like all of a sudden there's a new one and you're like, well, shit. Okay, so we tried the way we normally do it. That doesn't feel great. And you got to like alter, you know,
Try different things.
yeah. But
Always. You got to be
it's
willing.
just
And people do change. You know that
people
they're
do change.
you hear that people don't change. Yes, at their core, there are things that will not maneuver. But
You
as
know,
you
you
grow,
making it through the way you guys have done so well on an outsider's perspective, so quickly
it's
and
so
work through
easy.
and work, I know, right? And work through your guys's his moving your life and his, you know, his career stuff and your career stuff and all that. But to meet at a young age and grow up together is a whole other level.
Do you know why? I think I have it figured out. If you move together, if you grow together, if you agree to
Has to be
continue to,
together.
it has to be, because even though we spend so much time apart, I really like harp on this, I swear. But it's true. We spend so much time apart, but we come together and we maintain our connection and we go through our shit, but we always come back to each other and agree to move forward together, to grow together. Because what happens with couples, and I deal with relationships too, is people outgrow each other. And one person's
But I'm
mentally
saying,
forward and the
I
other's
say,
not.
I look at this couple that just recently happened, and you
Yeah.
can't make it. Oh, hello. How am
Yeah,
I
but you
gonna
can't do that either. That's not gonna work. It's their
Yeah,
story.
like, when I listen to the reasons and what's been going on, it's like again, either one or two people have decided like not to make those decisions together.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. You divide. If you divide on the really important pieces or the really important parts of your life, that can rock the boat. And I have a friend, and like you said, like we got together at 18 and 21 years old. Like that is a rare, so rare. I
Oh,
get that, to maintain and stay together, especially all the things we've been through together. I know that's rare. We've had a chance to, I don't know, learn and relearn things where
yeah.
it just doesn't, that's not normal.
And
You have to have it.
I think it's like giving the grace, but it's also wanting to give someone grace. And I think in relationships, how easy is that to be? Like there's times where and then again with marriage, then you add in three little humans, two little humans, one little human is enough to go,
Rocket. Yeah.
oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's like things that Jordan and I come across of like, I'm good again in the home. I'm good to take on like 98 of it. Like I'm ready to like be the one for the kids to give the water, the snacks, the this, the that, the that. But he also knows how much I love to cook, and I don't cook that often anymore. I just don't have time and I don't have the patience because my little ones ruin it for me. Like I end up leaving something on the stove while I'm trying to figure out something for them, or, you know, Ledger's got the 1-year-old's got the 4-year-old in a chokehold somehow. I don't know. He's fucking bam bam. Like, I don't know how it happens, but like, but when he comes home, and Jordan, one thing like too, like Jordan gets done with work around between 5 and 6, but like something for him and I both is that our physical activity is like huge for our mental states, both of us. I am suppressed in it. That's why I'm like not the weight I'd love to be at 40. I thought I was gonna be like, oh, hitting 40 with like my good bod. Not gonna happen. We're gonna work on it in the 40th year. It's
Be
gonna
nice.
be
Be nice.
revenge year. I know, but listen,
Uh-huh.
that's real.
I get it.
And he gets to go. I like his part of his regimen is he gets off work and he goes straight to the gym and he gets home around like 6:37.
Mhm.
I love that for him because when he doesn't get it, I see it. I see how it affects
Accept
him.
it. You accept it.
I accept it. I don't
Big.
love it. I
Yeah.
don't love it. But when it comes to him and I personally, I love it. But sometimes I'll get on him, like after I like make the meal, like he sits, he amps the kids, he eats, and now he's like settled in his
Mhm.
chair, comfortable. And I'm looking at the dirty dishes going, you wanna
Get those? But that's, you're saying something that's so important with relationships. And I do coach on relationships because I've seen some doozies and I have one of my own, but like you have to grow together, yes, but there are pieces that accepting is way easier than fighting it. Like, it's way when he's settled at the table and you guys are all together and yes, you have dishes and there's more to the rest of the night, but if you accept those little pieces and you keep the peace, like your little cone of happiness can kind of maintain and you can continue on and life will change, right? It won't always look like that and you can communicate and things can change
yes, like
and that's okay.
yes, exactly. And like especially with the littles, I'm constantly reminding both of us, like, we only get this for a few years because these babies are going to eventually be teenagers
Mhm.
and I'm going to hate them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the opposite of me. So I have the little
Yeah,
girl
older
first.
boy, little
Yeah, I
girl.
have the little girl first. And I will tell you, when I had my little boy, I text messaged my mother-in-law. It was like, I get it. Get it now.
It is so different, is it? It is so different. You have conjured up more knowledge and experience and life lessons than most people at your age, truly. Because you're young, let's be honest. 40 is the new, like, what, 20 or 30? I don't know, but you're young and you have lived so many lives. And I think my favorite people are the people who've lived all the lives. You've always been one of my favorite people, anyways, but I just think it's very cool what you've experienced in your short, almost 40 years. So, Sabrina now and Sabrina right before Cheetah Girls.
Ooh, okay.
What do you sit down and tell her about, like, what's your advice to her about life as you know it now?
Oh, man. I will say, like, I'm really grateful for the journey that I've had. So it's a little tough when you try to like see like how you could like fix it.
Hmm?
Like, you know what I mean? Like how you could like, oh, it could have been better if you had done this or that. With my 20-year-old Sabrina, I think the only thing that I would have really loved to have done different was let go of the relationship I was trying to make work at that time while I was building this dream and getting it. Um, However, I do know that relationship molded me in a lot of ways, so I'm grateful for it. So that's like hard, right? Like, but that relationship took a lot of my mental space, my emotional space, my I wasn't allowed to be selfish, which I do love now because being a mom, selfishness is not always an option. So I do think that But what I would say to a 20-year-old, I would love for her to have slowed down a little bit. Fought for the slowing down. Like I said, I was always like first one to raise the hand. I'm up, I'm down, let's do it. I wish that I had cherished that a little bit more, taken more pictures, lived more in the moment. I think I lived for, we're doing this right now so that this next phase is going to be like, I did that. I was always building this castle. And I wish I would have just sat in it now. And I think that's what I do now, turning 40 in a couple days. I sit in it a lot more now. Like Monroe's birthday, I didn't have a phone on me. I just watched her, like she wanted this Moana dream, and my girlfriend Carrie kept going, lose her, because I was crying all the time. I kept crying over her birthday, like just like it was this
You were
dream
in
that she
it.
had. Yeah, and I created it, and it was working, and Moana was here, and like I just like lost it because I was just like, I did it. She's like having this like incredible magical moment, and like I didn't have a phone on me, nothing, and I kept looking, like all my friends knew. I knew from Ledger's first birthday. I just am at this place where I want to be in it. I'm not great on social media because I'm not Insta. I'm not an Instagram. I'm a latergram. I was just in it. And
That's big.
that's what I wish I had done more, instead of building or thinking what's next. Like I wish I would have been in Barcelona, and I was there in Barcelona, but like I feel like all the small things, all the cool people we met, all the things, like it was just kind of like part of the job. Handshake, picture, cool, done. Instead of being like let's get to, like, I don't know. More.
I hear you say you wishing for that, but and you're doing it now. Like, had you not gone through that to
Yeah.
own that now,
But
I could have slowed down. You're doing it now.
yeah. It's something that
Okay.
I'm really focused on. We work on our
Yeah.
happiness.
Something I've had to learn, which is really cool, and you're doing this too, is, even when there's hard stuff going on, you do choose happiness. Happiness doesn't always just find you and gift itself to you. It's looking around, like you've said, being in it and being in those moments, and choosing to be at peace with where you are right in that moment, because right now is what we have. Yesterday already happened and tomorrow is not here yet. And
Mhm.
so you have now and you choose it. How often are you doing the podcast? Like, what's your recording schedule like?
It's typically once a week, and we do 2-hour sessions. So we'll do an episode and then we back the Park Hopper episode either before or after. So it's usually two, but Will and I are both gearing up. Jordan and I are going to Italy and Greece, and his wife I think is going to Spain. So we're doing, like, next week
You're
we'll do
batching?
2 weeks in a row where we'll do 2 episodes a week, which is not normal for us, but
Yeah. Well, that way you go and be free and enjoy your vacation. So good for you.
yeah. So we won't have to do anything, but I will
Right.
say I love it. I love it. I love podcasting. I love chatting. I love watching so I watched the movie that's 90 minutes, right? So an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, and so we do an hour session on Zoom. So an hour and a half now. And then we do interview, and that's an hour usually.
Okay, so if people want to go listen and see what you've been up to with it's still new,
It is.
Magical
It's
Mind.
very
Yeah.
new. We have
How
not
do we
even hit
find
that.
you?
So Sabrina.Bryan is my Instagram. Someone stole
When you
Sabrina
post.
years ago. When I do post,
Uh-huh.
I do try to post. Magical Rewind Pod is where you can find all of they're posting stuff all the time. They're so great. Like I said, the producers we work on, oh man, they are just, every single one of them is like a crazy gem. I can't believe I'm able to work with these amazing people.
Okay.
So Magical Rewind Pod, we do episodes every week. And then we do a park hop, what we call park hopper pass, and we bring in either an actor, producer, writer, director, somebody that is involved in the decom, to come and talk about the making of the movie, how the cast got assembled. If we're talking to an actor, where that audition process like came into play. It's just been so fun. And the thing that I love every time after these interviews, like I said, I love talking about the movies, but the interviews are kind of my favorite part because I really relate and have the ability, and will as well, of how lucky we all feel that we were part of the channel and being able to, whatever the message of the movie is, it's always so inspirational. It now, as we're all older after we've filmed them, some of us have kids and, you know, families and whatever, it just hits different. And it's like, wow, damn, like so excited that the next generation is going to keep going. The next, like Disney,
Yeah.
Cheetah Girls is going to keep going.
Oh, for
If
sure.
they end up doing a reboot or not, Cheetah Girls is going to continue to be along the lines of now women who have their own families that introduce it to their babies. But still, like I said, my favorite thing is being a Cheetah Girl is looking at women who are truly, that were inspired by the message that I was a part of, that have now become boss ladies in their own right. Oh, that
Very
is
cool.
something no one can ever take away from me. You
Yeah,
can
that's so cool.
diminish my level of dancing, my if I was good or not, my level of singing, if I was good or not, you can do all that. But the message was there. And I know for a fact my character and the three amazing women that I was next to, their characters and the people that they are, we inspired generations. Holy bomb.
Yeah. That's magical right there.
It is. It
It really
is.
is.
And I'm proud of it. And
Good.
no, like when people go, "Oh, you're wearing cheetah," I'm like, "Yes, I am. I am."
You better
Don't
believe
think it's funny. Don't think it's funny that I am,
it.
because I am. And I wear
I
them.
love it.
My cheetah spots are worn proudly.
I love it.
Thank you.
Once a cheetah girl, always a cheetah girl. Is that how that works?
Yep. Lifelong. It's not a brand. It's not a name. It's who you are.
I love it. Well, I hope everyone's involved in listening has enjoyed our catch-up session. This is probably going to be two parts. And when
Gotta
this
be.
one comes out, this is part two. You just listen to part one. And hopefully you just binged it out because this is so much fun. I hope we get to do something like this again, my friend.
I do too.
I'm all about it.
Let's
You're a
do it.
blast. Well, you're a beautiful human. I'm proud of you. I'm
Thank
proud of your
you.
life. Thank you for your time. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll be in Orange County or somewhere nearby you at some point because we've got to
Yeah,
hug. I want to hug you.
I do. I do as well. I do as well. And thank you so much for like wanting me to be on this, because I think what you're doing already is so incredible. And I'm so excited that you're killing it.
Mm.
And I'm happy for you. And I know the goals that you've set. You and I have not gotten together in years, but we always keep in touch and we always keep each other up on what we want to achieve. And I'm watching you do it. And I love it.
Thank you for listening to the Needy and Normal podcast. If you liked this episode, share it generously. I would so appreciate it if you would take a quick moment to leave me a review and click that subscribe button so you won't miss an episode. For information about coaching together, visit ablifecoaching.com.